Good morning. Thank you, Jim. We had a special one on today. I love how we had Create Kevin on yesterday because they were announced as AO on Wednesday. And now we have Brett Beaudry, who was also announced as AO on Wednesday. Mr. Brett Beaudry was our number one net place producer in my master agency last month. He this gentleman, we had Mr. Larson on our master agency call a week before conference last year. And I've told the story a few times, and Jim knows it, and a lot of you have heard it. But he asked a question: how many of you are thinking of quitting or have thought about quitting? And Brett Beaudry put it in the chat. I'm thinking about it right now. He put that in the chat. I'm thinking about quitting right now. Um, we got him on the phone after that call. We got him to conference. We motivated him enough, inspired him enough to get to conference. And now he walked into that second of his conference a couple weeks ago as qualified for agency owner. So it's really cool. He started just over a year ago. He's written 260,000 since then on his own pen. His perspective, his leadership here is incredible from what I've seen, from what he's done and where he came from. And the last thing I think he's probably his most favorite title right now is Amber Pearson's boyfriend. So I want to introduce you guys to Mr. Brett Beaudry. Brett, you there?
I am here. Yeah, I wasn't prepared for that last part, but thanks, Greg.
Yeah, you're welcome, sir.
All right.
Yeah, get after it.
All right. Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Jim, for the opportunity to share and kick Friday off. Um, Fridays look a lot different than they did for me 4 years ago. Some of you guys might know me now as a top producer and agency owner, energetic, happy-go-lucky dude in the dial room wearing, Adidas tracksuits, hanging out, dialing on Saturdays. But Fridays 4 years ago, I can honestly say that I didn't care if I lived or died. I grew up in a small town, suburban town in Northern California with an elementary school teacher mom, a blue collar working dad, your typical American, nuclear family there. Everything seemed to be great from the outside, but the truth is I hated myself. I hated the way I looked. I hated the way I felt. I felt trapped in my own skin. I had zero confidence in myself. I had zero self-esteem. And, as a firstborn child, we got a lot of expectations to live up to. And every day I woke up looking for an escape or a way to escape. Um, I had my first beer on accident when I was 9 years old. And for the first time, I felt normal. As I went through middle school, I started using drugs and alcohol every opportunity I could. I surrounded myself with other people that were in the same boat. Drinking and using became a normal at an age when people were focusing on SAT scores and getting into a good college and their future, right? I somehow got through high school just barely, and as I got older, the pressure grew even more, and so did my need for to drown my insecurities. Put a 12 in the chat if you've ever felt worthless, like nothing you've ever done is good enough, and you've kind of lost hope that anything good will ever come your way. Okay, we got an audience. For about 20 years, that's how I lived my life. On the flip side, I've always had just enough natural ability and talent to kind of squeak by and still support my bad habits and live a life of deception and delusion. The truth is, the old version of me was an absolute nightmare, complete train wreck with no regard for myself or others. I burned a lot of bridges professionally and personally beyond repair and put my life in jeopardy more times than I'll ever really know. As I got older, my addictions, self-loathing continued to spiral. I found myself waking up regularly, not knowing where I was, where my car was, knowing why I had two black eyes on a few occasions, not even knowing how I wound up in handcuffs. You'd think that being locked in jail with no shoes, no way of contacting the outside world, that's a good opportunity for you to decide, hey, this is the last time to make those mistakes and then go correct them, right? And maybe you're that
Yeah,
person. Maybe you're that person that can make a mistake or two and go correct it right away. Some of us, we have to learn the hard way and say, oh, it wasn't that bad. It won't happen again. But unless we commit to changing our thoughts and our behaviors and our actions, we're just going to keep running into the same mistakes over and over and over. and eventually our luck will run out, right? So you guys might be thinking, how does this relate to building an insurance business? That's fair. The mistakes you're making here in this business probably won't land you in jail, like my trajectory was, 4 years ago, probably would have, unless you'll hear laundering money or something like that, right? But the mistakes you're making could very well be the deciding factor in whether or not you're here in 90 days or not, right? It's not life or death, but it is the success or failure of your business. Get uncomfortable now or risk looking back 5 years from now with those same problems, those same mistakes, still making the same mistakes. We have to commit to changing the way we think and behave. Guys, we have to sacrifice our old life for the new life. Will it be easy? Absolutely not. Was it easy for me to get sober after drinking and using for 2/3 of my life? Absolutely not. But you get to a point where you run out of options. You either commit to winning or you stay committed to failing. You get to choose. If you want different, you have to choose different. You have to commit to different. But how many times are you going to tell yourself that you'll start again tomorrow? You're going to change tomorrow. You're going to buy new leads tomorrow. You're going to reach out to your upline tomorrow. Successful people will do what unsuccessful people aren't willing to do. For me, guys, I never knew I would end up selling insurance, but I also never thought I would find the strength to quit drinking. I never thought I was actually going to make it to 35 years old, to be honest. Since I made that decision to turn my life around 4.5 years ago, I've been able to meet the real Brett for the first time, probably in my entire life. And that's a pretty sobering thing. So now what, right? Well, like many of you guys, I was searching for something new and different, scanning ads on Craigslist and LinkedIn. I came across this really sketchy post with an aggressive amount of emojis that just screamed, "This sounds way too good to be true. This can't be real. Holy crap, now I'm in pre-licensing. What did I get myself into?" Much like my first 60 days of sobriety 4 years ago, my first 2 months here at Cemetery were incredibly challenging, both mentally and emotionally. I made a few sales, sure, like, wrote 6 or 7 apps maybe, but I was nowhere even close to making the money that I was used to making in the W-2 world. And to be honest, especially with Jim and Craig here, who know my story better than anybody, I was absolutely ready to quit. Just like many, many times I was ready to throw in the towel, go back to my old ways, go back to the bar, go back to self-loathing, self-pity, go back to what was comfortable. But because I had done a little bit of work on myself prior to getting here back in April of 2021, and I also took out my entire 401k to give this business a shot. I owed it to myself to see it through. And as we say in AA, one more day or one day at a time, right?
What are you doing? Get on the couch and leave her alone.
So as my story goes, I went to conference. I decided to trust my mentors, like I had once decided to trust my sponsor. So the next thing you know, I'm in this big ass insurance conference in the middle of Colorado, where all these well-spoken people wearing blue jackets are on a stage in what seemed to be, like some sort of cult fellowship. And everyone seemed to like each other, or at the very minimum, everyone was nice to each other, which was very, very new to me. Um, and I saw that this wasn't, in fact, too good to be true. Because if it was, how was there so much belief and proof on stage? Could they really afford to get that many paid actors? Maybe, maybe not. Guys, I came back from Denver last year. I planted my flag mentally and committed to doing whatever it took to get this thing figured out. I came back from conference. In my third month, I wrote $25,000 on my own pen. I started hitting promotion after promotion. I started believing. I started building a team. I started bringing people into this business with me. And then I started hitting levels of leadership as well. And I've never looked back after that. I've had to get uncomfortable to get to where I'm at today. And I'm going to need to get 10 times more uncomfortable to get to where I want to be 12 months from today. I don't think that I found Cemetery. Cemetery, without question, found me. All right. Now we're all here on this accountability call for a reason. We're here because we know we have to commit to change. The question for everyone here, including myself, is what are we willing to change to become the person we know we're capable of becoming? What are we willing to sacrifice in order to do whatever is required for us personally to win here? How much ego are we willing to check at the door? How much time, effort, and money are you willing to invest in yourself? And finally, how fast are you willing to fail and fail and fail so you can learn what's necessary to overcome? The answers to these questions will determine how big and how fast you will grow. And guys, I want to leave you with a fun story from one of my favorite movies called Catch Me If You Can. You guys might know this one. So two mice fell into a bucket of cream. The first mouse, after struggling for a short time, gave up. He stopped fighting. He sank and drowned. The second mouse refused to quit. He kicked and fought with everything he had. He struggled so hard and so long that eventually he churned that cream into butter and climbed his way out to freedom. There were times in my life and also in this business where I felt like the second mouse, stuck in something that felt impossible. I didn't see a way out, but I kept kicking. Every rejection, every setback, every lead hanging up on me, every long day was me churning butter into cream. We all land in that bucket at some point. The question is, will we give up like the first mouse, or will we keep kicking like the second? Because if you fight long enough, your struggle will turn into the very thing that lifts you up. Thank you guys so much.
Man, Brett, dude, that was powerful and vulnerable. And I love the way you honored this environment with bringing vulnerability and transparency here. I even love that line about you didn't find symmetry, symmetry found you. Put a 2 in the comments if you guys feel like symmetry found you. And I don't know that I ever thought about that before, Brett, but I'll tell you, I think that was the reason I came back. Like I quit and ran away from symmetry, and it haunted me and it wouldn't let me go. And it was literally this was the best thing you've ever seen, and truly became the reason I came back, because I couldn't shake it. I couldn't shake the potential. I couldn't shake what could be done. I couldn't shake who I was going to become if I went through the process of learning. It haunted me and it found me. Brother, thank you. You know this, but I shared that story that Craig did about you quitting on my new agent welcome call for months and months and months. And then to have you on our call as a guest to let all those people know, like, hey, here's a guy that was like on the verge of quitting to winning at every level and developing in all the right ways. Like, this can happen. So anyway, brother, I really appreciate you. Thanks for being on here. This is our last official meeting in the month of September. We are moving forward to the month of October. On Monday, it is Labor Day, but we are going to, sorry, September. When? It's August still. It feels like
you're
fall.
a month off, Jim.
Dude, I step outside and it feels like fall. It looks like fall. And I'm like, fall is here. And it's only still August. I just skipped a month. I got a whole year back in my life, guys, when I swore I was 45 and ended up only being 44. And now I just got a whole month back. All right, today's the last day of August, and Monday will start September. We've got a couple new things for September. Number one, we're going to have a lot more breakout rooms, and that's going to be true in the month of September. I am going to create parameters for the month of October and then moving forward, just because we're going to have to create, we're going to get overwhelming. Nobody wants to open up a breakout room thing and sort through 150 different breakout rooms. So that means if you're in a breakout room and I kick you out for October, still come to this shared content session, and then you might just have to jump over to your own Zoom afterwards. That's all that means. Second housekeeping item. We've not been shy, a lot of the leadership here, about our faith, and I've not been shy about how the filter belongs to the listener and not to the speaker. I want everybody that speaks on this platform to give an unfiltered, raw, unedited story, the story of their own transformation, the story of their own growth, and whatever they credit that to, and whatever lessons they learned. And if their story and their lessons make you uncomfortable, that's on you, not on them. That's the way that I run this operation here. Welcome to my sandbox. But one of the things that we are going to do, because of the number of people of faith in this group, on Fridays starting in September, so 1 week from today, one of those breakout rooms you're going to see will be a prayer room. And you are going to have one of the leaders of this accountability group hosting that breakout room each Friday. So if you want to explore faith, embrace your faith, you just need a place to pray over your business. You just need someone to pour into not just your business and yourself, but in your spirit. On Fridays, we will be opening up that breakout room that will be led by one of the accountability leaders here. That is not, hear me clearly, that is not an obligation. That's not even an obligation if you're a Christian. You can still have other things to do. You can still go anywhere you want, to any breakout room you want, but we want to offer it as a service here. We want to offer it as another layer of support in what we're building. So expect to see that breakout room starting on Friday, a week from today. All right, with that said, let's go crush the last day. Can I get in the comments here? I just want to see, put a 3 in the comments if you are actively running for a promotion and these next 3 days matter for you. Y'all put a 3 in that you were running. Put a 4 if these next 3 days matter for that promotion. All right, we got a lot of 4s, and I want everybody that's a 4 in here chasing these days today and this weekend to get stuff issued and write instant issue business. We are behind you. We are cheering for you. There is not one person that co-runs this accountability group with me that has not been in that position of coming up to the end of the month, being nervous, not knowing if it was going to land. Just know you're in good company. We are cheering for you, rooting for you, and we can't wait to hear that it landed. All right, opening breakout rooms. All rooms are open.